With gas prices so high, a lot of people are looking to stay close to home for this year's summer vacation. Hey, I'm Adam Meikle. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, gas prices are extremely high, so why not come to this beautiful lake we have here in Utah Valley? Utah Lake, right outside our back door. Tonight, we're gonna take you sailing, and my good buddy Cal is taking us out on his brand new VX21. Color you think?
I'm just throwing a crawdad color, but black and blue's always been the...
That's kind of what I was thinking. Got a black and blue chatterbait.
Cal is my Utah Lake largemouth buddy. He turned me on to the big largemouth here about a decade ago.
This looks good. Ought to be a fish in here.
There's not a huge population of largemouth here, but there's usually a few dandies roaming near the rocks in the marina.
We've also had quite a few northern pike, larger northern pike caught in the river and in the harbor, so that's picking up. And I've also heard some large catfish being caught already this year, up to 10 pounds.
There's fish. Chatterbait.
Oh, it's a nice one. That's a nice one. Don't flip him in, he's pretty heavy. Better reach down and grab that one.
It's a good little fish. Chatterbait. Boy, look at the scars on that.
That's old beat up Utah Lake bass.
Yeah, he's beat up. Here, buddy.
Beat up Utah Laker.
Little guy.
That's a start.
About a pounder. About a pound fish. And little bucket mouth, about a pound.
He might go 2.
2!
He's growing.
He's growing already. All right, buddy. Thanks for the fight. There we go. So if you've never used this chatterbait, it's basically just a jig. It's got this little blade on the front. You cast it out, and you can just feel it. Look at my tip, just tipping back and forth. That fish, I didn't feel him hit. The action stopped, so I set. Pretty easy bait to run. It's kind of like throwing a blade. Just pitching it to shore.
One great thing about Utah Lake is the diversity of species. So again, we've got everything from largemouth, to walleye, to channel cats. Lots of people love to come out and catch common carp.
Catfish are just starting to spawn and are close to shore, making them easy targets for anglers.
There we go. See I'm taking it?
We've already caught some fish in probably 1.5 feet of water. So that gives you an idea of how shallow we're talking.
Whoa!
As the spawn continues, they'll still be inshore. The males will get aggressive. They'll usually try to fight off the other males, so it's a good time to drop a piece of bait right in their way and they're gonna hit it. So fishing's gonna continue to be good all the way through August, I'd say.
Oh, fish is taking us out
Whoa,
the bird island.
he's gonna get in the trolling motor. Here he comes, there we go.
Yeah, Mike.
That is powerful.
Look at that head on that guy.
Big fat lead. He's gonna be pushing 7.5 maybe. What'd you get, Chris?
6'6".
Yep.
Really? It's easy, anybody can do it. You don't have to have any special gear. A simple large worm hook, or maybe some of these circle hooks have been really effective. Don't get hooked quite as deep as easily. And then I like to just use the cheap little bobber, maybe 1.5 feet, 2 feet above your line. Tip the line with a worm or maybe even a piece of white bass that you've caught here from Utah Lake, which is legal. And then cast it as close to shore as possible and let it sit until the bobber goes down. Yep, we got that one. Nope.
Boy, they are in the shallow, aren't they?
I like to be right on that shore. There we go. Who can complain about catching a fish that size, huh?
No.
Okay, Mike, we ready?
You know, we've all heard the saying, there's more than one way to skin a cat. Well, there's more than one way to catch a catfish. And Chris is going to show us a rig I've never tried before called a Santee Cooper rig. It's a technique you control or just drift with the wind.
Tube Dude Pat Scouten does something very similar. He just uses a slightly different setup, but the concept's probably pretty familiar to Pat. It's a Carolina rig where you've got some sort of float that's keeping your bait up off the bottom. And it doesn't necessarily have to keep it really high, it just rides it up just enough that catfish get a little better scent trail and it keeps it up out of the mud. I've got about 1.5 ounce no slide weight here. You can use just about any sort of egg sinker, barrel sinker. Got a little bumper bead there to keep it off my knot. And then depending on the depth you're fishing, you can have your bait, you know, you could have it as far as 3 feet back. We're fishing in just a couple of feet of water right now, so we're gonna have it running pretty shallow. We're running anywhere from a 4/0 to a 6/0. You could even go higher, circle hook. So we'll be trolling about 1 mile an hour. So we've got about an 18-inch leader, you know, depending on our speed. It's gonna be hopefully, you know, 6 inches to a foot off the bottom. This is some kokanee corn dye. Just gives it a little bit of color on the white bass meat, but it's just white bass meat. Shrimp work good, white bass, cut carp meats. You could use worms. I feel like the cut fish or the shrimp work a little bit better for running these. And then, you know, the drill with the circle hooks, that may even be covering the gap too much. You want to make sure that you got plenty of that gap for it to set.
How far are you setting that back?
Probably about 50 or 60 feet. Lock it in, and then I just let the rod holders do all the work. We're fishing some of these flats outside the weed lines. But typically how I do is when I don't know really where they're at, I just kind of do a little bit of zigzags, almost like you were looking for kokanee. Just looking at different depths, but also I think maybe the change in speed probably helps as well. Oh, there we go.
Oh boy, that's good fish.
There you go, Tyler. It's all yours.
Boy, there's no doubt when they hit, huh?
Splashing back there.
And don't make it look like it comes in too easy.
It's coming right at us. Yeah.
Nice.
Cool technique.
Okay, I was getting worried. 12 minutes. Took 12 minutes.
That's a big fish. 7 something. Gotta be.
7 1/4, something like that. 7 1.
Over the next hour,
There we go.
we caught and landed a fish
Make some nice fish tacos right there.
about every 10 minutes.
Look at that. Just a beautiful specimen. A face only a mother can love or a biologist. That is a cool fish. Back to the drink we go. Oh, look at that. Yep.
He's the #1 in here.
Another great option, especially if you don't have a boat, is the white bass spawn that's happening right now in the tributaries of Utah Lake.
You can catch white bass off the jetties around the state park, but they're also starting to move up as far as Center Street and some of those other bridges through there. So get out and fish for them. They're great table fare, but also they're great for fishing as using as bait for catfish.